Okay guys, these are your 6C notes on the Roman Republic. Remember, at any point in time in this video, if you feel you need to pause it to write stuff down, press pause. I'm going to keep moving, alright? So what is a republic? First off, a republic is a form of government in which power rests with citizens who have the right to vote for their leaders. Another example of a republic is right here in the good old US of A. Alright, now the social structure in the Roman Republic is broken down into three groups. We have the patricians, our powerful nobility, they were few in number. Our plebeians, which was the majority of the population. And the slaves, which were not based on race. Okay, as you can see here, our patricians wearing a toga, looking very regal and rich. Our plebeians looking farmer, commoner, and then our slaves. So in Roman society, just out of curiosity, the patricians were A, poor farmers who worked mostly as laborers. No, I don't think so. B, majority of the population. C, a small number of wealthy landowners who had the most power. Or D, the warrior class that allowed Rome to be so powerful. The right answer to that one, guys, is most obviously C, a small number of wealthy landowners who have most of the power. Alright, now citizenship in Rome. Patrician and plebeian men, and some foreigners, actually are going to gain rights as citizens. But there's a condition. Citizenship comes with rights and responsibilities. You have to pay taxes. You have to serve in the military. So if you didn't want to serve in the military, that's fine. You don't have to be a citizen. If you don't want to pay taxes, that's okay too. You also don't get the rights to be a citizen. And the reason you want to be a citizen is because you get the right to vote on things. You have say in government if you're a citizen. True or false? All men who lived in Roman society had rights as citizens. That's going to be false. Okay, guys? The reason is, watch the word all. Be careful of your wording. Okay? We'll do one more of those real quick. True or false? Roman citizens had to pay taxes and serve in the military. And that is true. Okay, moving on from there. Structure of the government. Basic structure. It's a representative democracy, which means power rests with citizens who have the right to vote for their leaders. So in Athens, we had a direct democracy where everyone got together and everyone voted on everything. When you start getting to a larger country that gets clunky, can you imagine the idea of every citizen in the United States who has the right to vote, voting on every law? 320 million people, that'd take quite a while. So instead, here in the United States and in ancient Rome, we had elected leaders who would make those decisions for us. You had a series of assemblies. The big one was the Senate. Okay, the Senate was members for life. They were elected from amongst the patricians, and they controlled foreign and financial policies. We also had the tribunes, which were chosen by the plebeians, and the centuriate, which are all citizen soldiers and are members for life. They select who our consuls are, and they would make the laws. So we had a series of assemblies. And there's a picture of the Roman Senate. We also had a series of elected offices. We had executives. We had consuls. We had two chief executives. They were commanders of the army, and they were very much like our presidents. They would each be elected for a one-year term. They could veto each other, and they could not be re-elected for 10 years. So instead of having a president and vice president, where the president has all the power, and the vice president's kind of just there in case the president has something happen to him, in this system, it'd be co-presidents. And if one doesn't want to do something, or one wants to do something and the other doesn't, they don't do it. He hits the veto it. We also have tribunes. Our tribunes are elected by plebeians, and their job is to protect plebeian rights from the unfair acts of patricians. They're to make sure that the rich don't trample on the non-rich. We actually have an elected office here known as a dictator. Dictators are elected in times of severe crisis, and they'll serve for 6 months and have to be re-elected. Now, why would you want to elect a dictator? I mean, a dictator, you're giving him all the power. Well, what the Romans figured was that in a time of severe crisis, the democratic process to make a decision about where to send an army or how to attack an opposing city, it was just inefficient. So they would elect a dictator to command the army and control the country just during that time of crisis until the crisis passed. And then the last office we had a praetor. A praetor is elected judge, and they serve a one-year term. So real quick, multiple choice question. The Roman Republic was known for A, direct democracy in which every person has an equal vote. B, a representative democracy in which citizens voted for some of their leaders and held assemblies to discuss issues. C, a monarchy in which the king held absolute power. And D, a parliamentary system with power in the hands of the people. I like B the best here. It's a representative democracy in which citizens voted for some of their leaders and held assemblies to discuss issues. The law code from Rome is known as the 12 Tables, and they established a couple of key ideas that you need to be aware of, which are that all free citizens had the right to protection under the law. Not just the rich free citizens, all free citizens. It's a big idea that shows back up here in the United States. Alright, and here's a little compare and contrast exercise. Go ahead and pause this video and scan the QR codes, find out some information about the Roman executive and the US executive. And you're going to be putting that, and then here's the Roman legal code and the US legal code. And you're going to be using that to fill in this chart here, essentially, on your own paper. So place this chart where you've got an empty space on your paper. And then once you're done with those, I want you to take a couple of minutes and think about these questions. What are some similarities between the Roman Republic and the US of A? What are some differences? Would you consider this structure to be free? Why or why not? How democratic do you think the government of the Roman Republic was? What does the term checks and balances mean? What types of checks and balances did Roman government have? What types does the US have? In what ways do you think the American system was influenced by Rome? And that's going to be all, guys. Again, remember on these videos, you can always skip back if you need to.